KSI has successfully transformed from a blogger, musician, to a boxer. The very fact of this is already shocking. But today, we will talk about cases when KSI shocked the world with his performances in the ring. 5th place. Let's start with the fight that KSI was supposed to lose. This is the first fight against Logan Paul. Despite the fact that the opponent did not have experience in boxing, unlike JJ, his size and athletic past made Logan a serious favorite for the upcoming fight. Press conferences raised interest to their beef, but did not shake the belief that Logan would win. Despite the fact that the fighters came to the fight in excellent shape, there was a noticeable difference in size. Firstly, JJ was inferior in physical parameters, and for the fight before that, his own brother lost to Logan's brother. When the fight began, it became noticeable that Logan not only had a quick jab, but also strength. KSI seemed to have little chance of emerging victorious. A straight right was added to Paul's jab, and he has not bad defense. But when the fight moved forward, it became noticeable that the KSI was not going to give up. From round to round, he added and forced the opponent not to box, but to fight. That change wiped the smirk off Paul's face and eventually embellished it with blood. JJ was making a slugfest, but Logan managed to hide from them in the clinch. However, over time, it was not safe there either. KSI found a way to attack even in the clinch. The fight ended, and opinions were divided, some preferring Paul's early technical rounds and the second brutality of JJ. But everyone agreed that the KSI shocked everyone with will to win. 4th place. When you turned on this video, you most likely expected to see fights and knockouts. But let's be honest, KSI, even before his first fight, shocked everyone with its transformation. No, not this one. It's about his physical change.
Jesus, damn, I was hella skinny.
Many have already forgotten that JJ started his journey as a FIFA player, and the physical attributes he had, at best, were mediocre. From his body shape to various exercises like running, KSI looked like a man who only plays FIFA. Therefore, before the fight with Joe Weller, many wondered how he could defeat an athletic guy. But when JJ first showed what he had been working on for months, everyone was shocked. From a skinny fat guy with clumsy movements, he turned into a real athlete. All the muscles were perfectly pumped and shredded. After showing his transformation, many have already begun to think that KSI in this fight is the best athlete. However, the most important thing is that such a transformation inspired many of his viewers and proved that everything is possible if you work hard enough. So let's diligently like this video, and we're moving on to the next spot. 3rd place. 2018. The birth of YouTube boxing on the western segment of our beloved platform. KSI versus Joe Weller. The fight that opened the door to boxing for bloggers and introduced many viewers to the sweet science. However, in 2018, everything was very different from our days. It was a time when an epidemic of diss tracks flooded YouTube. KSI himself took part in this, which spoiled his reputation, but which added fuel to the fire. It's his desire to transform from a FIFA player to a rapper, because of which part of the audience turned away. The conflict with Joe occurred around the same time. So in the eyes of most, it seemed that JJ had gone crazy. Not an athletic FIFA, after a series of diss tracks, went to fight against all the common favorite and athlete Joe Weller, who was a serious favorite. It sounds so wild now that many of you don't believe it, but you should turn on their fight and listen to the sound of the audience and the commentators.
The whole arena shouting Weller right now.
Everyone was on Joe's side, except Sideman, who naturally supported KSI. From the moment of entrances, one thing became clear. JJ in enemy territory, all against him. When the fight began, bias was noticeable. Weller's every action was sung, and the actions of the KSI were ignored.
JJ looks shaken by some of these shots, you know. Look how he's backing off now. Look at how aggressive he was before and how contrasted that is.
It is worth noting that at first Joe started well, his jabs flew well, and he managed to keep his distance. However, this well ended after the first minute of the first round. JJ quickly adapted and began to throw a hail of jabs at his opponent, and then added power punches. Power punches turned into legendary combo windmills, and by the third round, Joe's face looked like he was the biggest ketchup fan. Of course, such a beatdown could not continue. Because of what? The referee stopped the fight. No one at the time of the announcement could imagine such an outcome of the fight. But JJ managed to shock the world and win his first fight. By the way, if you are interested in the history of YouTube boxing, leave a comment about it, because the roots of blogger confrontations grow from a completely different place. Second place. We've already discussed competitive fights, physical transformations, and knockouts. How else can you shock the world? How about 2 KOs in one night? After the second fight with Logan Paul, KSI years later decided to return to the ring and chose opponent Alex Wasabi for a warm-up. However, a couple of weeks before the fight, the opponent withdrew from the fight due to a concussion. It would seem that the event is doomed. In such a short time, it is difficult to find a worthy opponent. So JJ took not 1, but 2. The first was the rapper swarmz, who with one look causes goosebumps, and the second is a professional boxer. It is worth noting that even professional boxers do not make such challenges to themselves, since the chance of losing the first fight is very high. Only amateurs hold tournaments where they fight with more than one opponent per evening, but there everyone is wearing helmets and gloves are bigger. On the fight day, KSI shocked the whole world. For you to understand, in 2 fights he scored 10 knockdowns. The first to slaughter was swarmz, who surprisingly made more of a competitive fight than a professional boxer. He even sometimes landed punches, but lack of experience played a role, and in the end, JJ won by knockout. Let's subscribe to our channel for swarmz courage. We're sure he'll appreciate it. Second in line at the main event was a professional boxer who was beaten by KSI as if he had stolen something from him. The boxer quickly noticed that he had no answers to JJ's pressure and began to simulate blows to the back of the head. At first, the referee was believing all this, but then he realized that these were veteran tricks. As soon as the ref stopped being deceived and let KSI work, the opponent was knocked out. So in one night, we saw 2 fights and 10 knockdowns. First place. Let's remember the 5th place, the first fight against Logan Paul, a draw that haunted the fighters and the audience. After all, many believed that Paul could win, and given that this was his first fight without experience in boxing, Paul came out to the rematch even bigger favorite. Logan was superior to JJ in size, technique, had experience, and now they fought in the homeland of the American. It's hard to imagine a worse scenario, but apparently the more pressure on the KSI, the better he performs. It was the first influencer fight under professional rules, promoted by legendary Eddie Hearn. The fight began in the same way as the first fight. Logan shot KSI with jabs and looked more technical, thanks to which he took the round. JJ understood that the fight was going according to the old scenario, so he decided to increase the pace and press Logan harder. This round was closer. However, everything changed in the third. When KSI knocked down Paul, referee did not count the knockdown, but this morally shook the American. As soon as it seemed that the initiative was in JJ's hands, Logan rocked him and knocked down. But on replay, it is noticeable that Logan held his head and managed to hit the back of the head, because of which the knockdown was counted, but also Paul lost 2 points. From this point on, the initiative really changes. Both fighters are tired and fight only on willpower. In what KSI has no equal, purely on the character, He won subsequent rounds and shocks the whole world with the victory in the first blogger professional fight. What moment, in your opinion, is the most shocking in YouTube boxing? Write in the comments.